Okay. I want to welcome you all to this International Social Service Asia Pacific webinar. And today we're very excited to introduce our curriculum training designed for social workers and parasocial workers who are supporting vulnerable children on the move across the globe. And ISS is delighted to host this webinar today. And my name is Megan Mitchell. I'm the newly appointed CEO of ISS Australia, International Social Service Australia. Just before we get into the detail, I wanted to give you a brief history of ISS worldwide. The agency was founded in 1924 in Geneva in Switzerland by a dedicated group of female social workers who sought to address the growing need for cross-border assistance after the mass displacement caused by World War I. And 100 years later, the ISS network continues to flourish and provide critical psychosocial support to children and families navigating cross-border challenges around the world. In particular, it does this by bridging the gap between child protection systems across countries and fostering collaboration and connection among professionals. And it remains the only global organisation specialising in cross-border child welfare and social work support, and places social work at the heart of its mission. At the national level, ISS members worldwide manage around 75,000 cross-border cases every year and addressing the unique needs of families separated by borders. And if we look back at ISS's history, protecting and caring for children on the move has always been a part of ISS's DNA. And this is reflected not only in our individual casework, but also in research, advocacy, and the development of resources like this to support children, families, and practitioners. And as you all know, child displacement and migration are global phenomena that continue to grow. And today, an increasing number of children and young people are on the move, driven by the need to escape poverty, war and conflict, abuse, and environmental hardships. And it's the responsibility of individual nations to protect children, regardless of their origin, and in line with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is and remains the most ratified of all international conventions, which says something about, at least in theory, about how we value children. While many countries have some legislation in place to protect children on the move, few have comprehensive provisions or coordinated models for identifying, supporting, and reintegrating vulnerable children across borders. And to this end, I'm proud to introduce this training package through today's webinar. And it's specifically designed for social and parasocial workers who are committed to supporting children on the move. The curriculum embedded in the package addresses a critical gap in current social work training by focusing on the unique needs of children in contexts such as those who are refugees or asylum seekers, those who are internally displaced, and those who are affected by international migration. And today we're presenting this webinar from multiple locations across the world. The technical aspects are being expertly managed by Sabina from the ISS headquarters in Geneva. Thank you to those behind the scenes in Geneva and for your work promoting the webinar. We have Elaine Wiseman, Program and Training Manager at ISS USA, joining us from Baltimore. And here in Sydney, on Gadigal land, I'm joined by my ISS Australia colleagues, Damon Martin, who's the Deputy CEO here, and Anjali Prabhu, the Senior Intercountry Social Worker with ISS Australia. And I did want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, where I live and work, and pay my deepest respect to elders, past, and present and stand in solidarity with their ongoing struggle for justice, because this was and is and always will be Aboriginal land. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with everybody who registered. You're encouraged to use the Q&A and the chat function on Zoom to submit questions through the presentation, and we'll make sure that we leave time at the end of the webinar to address any questions that you might have. And we'll be sending a follow-up email to everyone who registered for today's webinar with the recording of this webinar, as well as links to the materials and a recorded demo on how to access them. So thanks again for joining us here today. Let's begin, starting with Damon, who will talk about the objectives of the training program, who exactly are Children on the Move, and how the package was put together. Damon will be followed by Anjali, who will describe who the training is for. And finally, Elaine will take you through the structure and content of the training modules and how to access them. Over to you, Damon.
Thanks, Megan. And I just wanted to begin by discussing the training program itself. It's designed to be a standalone, contextual training module that's been delivered over 5 days. So it comprises of approximately 40 hours of training. It can be integrated into existing curricula or training programs for social workers and parasocial workers across various geographic and professional contexts. The training program's primary objective is to build practical skills for professionals working with children on the move. Now, I hope you all know that terminology, children on the move. So who are children on the move? Well, according to UNICEF, there's an estimated 50 million children on the move in the world today. And the term children on the move refers to children who are migrating within or between countries for a variety of reasons, voluntary or not, with or without their parents or their primary caregivers. The group includes refugees, asylum seekers and unaccompanied children, internally displaced children, children indirectly affected by migration and displacement, international child migrants, and children in need of international protection. Now, I wanted to clarify the purpose of this training curriculum and, first of all, what it is not, okay? Firstly, it is not new material. This curriculum we've developed is based on existing resources and best practices from a number of organisations such as UNHCR, UNICEF, the Alliance of Child Protection and Humanitarian Action, ISS, and many others. Secondly, it is not for policymakers or supervisors. This training is a nearly ready-to-use package tailored for frontline social workers and parasocial workers. It focuses on practice-heavy skill-building activities rather than high-level policy and program development. Thirdly, it's not an introductory course. This module is intended for participants that have a foundation in case management and child protection, and making it a specialised training that enhances their skills and knowledge. And lastly, it is not a self-directed course. So while the curriculum is free and it's available for download from the ISS USA website, it is designed to be facilitated by experienced local trainers. It's not a manual for self-guided study, but rather a structured program for interactive trainer-led sessions tailored to your local context. So what does the training program cover? It's to equip participants with the skills and knowledge to address unique challenges faced by children on the move within both national systems and an international protection framework. Key topics include understanding the background and key definitions related to children on the move. Also learning who are the key actors and processes, getting familiar with case management and the identification of children in need of protection. It's also about culturally competent assessments, evaluating children's needs, risks, vulnerabilities, and strengths within their cultural context. It's about case planning, direct services, individualized case plans, providing direct services and making referrals to achieve sustainable and durable solutions. And it's also about implementing case plans, guiding participants on executing case plans across a range of outcomes. As I said, it's not a self-directed course or a manual for self-guided study. It's a practical, hands-on curriculum aimed at those directly working with children on the move. And as I said, it's meant to be for experienced trainers to facilitate it. And it's for those to empower those social workers and parasocial workers who they are or may be working directly with children on the move in your specific country. Next slide, please, Sabina. So let me briefly just share the background of who developed the curriculum. So the curriculum was initiated by UNICEF, their head office in New York, in collaboration with UNHCR and the Alliance for the Child Protection and Humanitarian Action. Its creation was made possible through funding of the United States State Department Bureau on Population, Refugees and Migration, as well as the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs Prospects Partnership. This funding was provided to UNICEF, who ultimately funded ISS to lead the project. So in terms of the curriculum design, the process was led by ISS USA, and it's managed by my esteemed colleague here, Elaine, who stayed up late for us tonight in Baltimore to be online. Other contributions were made by our ISS General Secretariat, was represented by Olivier Gessler. He's a highly regarded Swiss colleague with extensive experience working on children on the move, mainly in West and North Africa. And myself was involved. I've been involved in a lot of UNICEF-funded training initiatives in the region. We also collaborated with the social work facility from the University of Belgrade in Serbia, and the legal experts from the Refugee Rights Unit at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. I'd like to take a moment to honour one of our co-designers, Professor Nevenka Zagaric from the Belgrade University. She passed away, sadly, last year. Professor Zagaric worked tirelessly on this curriculum, and she was a passionate advocate for children and advancing social work education. Ultimately, our goal was to bring together these diverse group of individuals from ISS, the University of Belgrade, and Cape Town universities. We all had backgrounds in social work, law, humanitarian practice, and we were to create a curriculum that was adaptable across the various geographic and implementation settings. This all came to, we delivered a initial pilot training conducted in Cape Town in February last year, where we trained 45 social workers, and this demonstrated the curriculum's practical impact and adaptability in the field. I will now let my colleague Anjali present the next slide. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Damon. So I'm going to look at who the training is for. The target audience for this training can be addressed in two parts. Firstly, the training is designed to be facilitated through national social work training institutions. This could be a local university, government training institute, or training body or coalition. The local trainers should ideally have experience of case management, humanitarian assistance, and other experience related to working directly with children on the move. The curriculum is intended for social work and parasocial work educators and trainers. Importantly, it's designed to be adapted and implemented by local experts and skilled professionals in settings where children on the move are a regular focus. So as Damon mentioned earlier, the group who delivered, who were involved in the pilot program in South Africa, comprised representatives from UNICEF, UNHCR, ISS, and other university partners. Together, they acted as the initial training team. However, it's important to note that they are not intended as facilitators for future training. Instead, the training is meant to be delivered by local experts, people who are familiar with the unique context of your region. The materials in the package serve as a foundation, enabling trainers to tailor the content to local needs. So organisations such as UNICEF, UNHCR and ISS can definitely offer support in preparing for future training sessions, but the ultimate goal is very much to empower local trainers to lead these sessions. Now let's also look at who receives the training. So again, it's primarily designed for social workers and parasocial workers who have a foundational understanding of child protection case management. It's also very beneficial for members of the broader social work service workforce who work with migrant or forcibly displaced or cross-border families. So, for example, this could include case managers, community educators, healthcare providers, humanitarian workers, and legal aid providers. So, in essence, the training is really for any local professional who works directly with children on the move in their specific context. The curriculum uses a skill building approach, which is firmly aligned with social work training and education principles. It's been designed to ensure relevance and impact and is very much a practical tool. So I'll now hand it over to Elaine to present about how you can access the training.
Thanks, Anjali. So I'm going to spend just a moment talking a little bit about the format and adaptability to make a couple notes. So firstly, there are no prerequisites for this course beyond what was described that participants should have some background in case management, child protection, or some kind of frontline social work. The course itself, though, doesn't have formal prerequisites in its current form. It can be incorporated into other settings where those local facilitators can determine if there needs to be additional coursework. I want to mention just about it's being generic, is that it's designed to be adapted as has been said by the local training team. So it's, in a way, it's ready to go, but really the structure is ready to go, but each delivery does require each local training team to customize the material to include references to relevant laws and treaties, case examples, case practices, and certainly the cultural, legal, and social context of each region and each place that it's being delivered. The customizable piece, again, it's meant to be very flexible and can be used as a pre-service for incoming social workers or social service workers, or as an in-service training. It can also be adapted for use in an academic setting, or tailored for trainees who do have more formal social work education, as long as the trainers have the right skill set to adapt it that way. And that's really how this was launched. So our pilot, as Damon mentioned, was in South Africa, and that was with a group of master's level social workers who helped us gain a lot of feedback on the content of the course so that we could revise it. But further adaptation would be needed in order to integrate the material in its current form to a higher level, master's level coursework or similar academic settings. Structure is going to be in 5 distinct modules. We've called them days, but each module or day features a combination of lectures, discussions, and activities that are based on case studies. And they are meant to be presented sequentially, 1 through 5, but certainly each training team can adjust the content based on the training needs of that setting. So lengthening discussions, modifying case studies, and things of that nature to suit the specific needs of each group. And then, of course, it is free to download and incorporate into existing materials. And so if we go to the next slide, I'm going to just talk briefly about where and how to access the materials. I think that soon there'll be in the chat a link to a demo on YouTube, which will walk you through exactly where and how to download the materials, and we'll walk you through a visual of a few of the main documents. But just kind of to give an overview, you can access all of the materials with the link that's been shared, that will be shared in the follow-up email that Megan mentioned at the beginning. You can also access them on the ISS USA website. Once you're on that website, we do ask for your basic information in order to download them. So you'll see you fill in your name, your email, your country, and that's required to complete the download. After that, you'll download everything into one zip file, which you can expand and see all of the documents that are listed in this image here on the screen. There's 12 documents total in that folder. If you do have any trouble accessing anything on the website, there is also an email address there for assistance. So just to kind of run through the main documents you'll see in the download, the first 3 are introductory materials that we would ask you just to review kind of on your own. There's a foreword and an introduction that really outline the purpose and the process in creating this, the curriculum. And then there's also an agenda which sets out the materials by module or day that have learning aims, section titles, and descriptions, as well as estimates of time for the entire course. Again, this is based on what we presented as a 5-day or 40-hour training format. So each module is about, or day, I should say, and the agenda is set out as 6 hours worth of content that allows for breaks. But the content itself in the modules is adaptable to other agenda structures. Then you'll see days 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the modules themselves. Those are the PowerPoint presentations for each day. So each PowerPoint presentation includes all of the sections for each day and all of the notes. So there is not a separate instruction manual or facilitator guide or handbook. Everything that facilitators will need to deliver the course will be in the slides themselves and then in the notes. So certainly any of those materials can be adapted into handouts or activities for delivery, but everything that you'll need for that is going to be directly in the notes. And then at the end of each PowerPoint as well, there'll be a section with resource, key resources and source documents. There's also, you'll see, I think on this, it's number 10 is the contextualization guide. That's an Excel document in the zip file that has a tab, one for each day. And that is really meant to be the document that has section-specific and slide-specific guidance to support local trainers adapt the material to their local context. Then we also have some survey questions that can be used for a course evaluation. And then lastly, we have included the completed materials that were used in the original pilot as a reference. So if you were to open that document, it's very long. You'll see the slides look very different from the ones that are presented in the 5 PowerPoints themselves. But it's a way to give some background on kind of the original source material for the course, as well as a completed course that has been adapted to, in this case, the South African context. So that's a very rapid description of what you'll find in that folder once you go to the website and download the materials. But as I said, the demo that's on YouTube will walk you through and give you a quick look at what each of those or most of those look like to download.
And again, I want to thank you all for coming today. It's been a really great conversation, actually, and all your questions were very erudite and on point and really will help, I think, to make this package better and better with your help. So thank you again, everyone.